to wow, Merge 26. And tonight we are on speaker number 4. I know you all, let me give you a few minutes. Go ahead and like, tag, share, go ahead and invite because we want you to know that you are in for it's a treat. It really is. So let me go ahead and share from my page as well. And for those who are joining us on replay, I would like to just say thank you for coming on. Thank you for being a part. Now, what is Merge? Merge is a 1 day impactful event where entrepreneurs, um, intercessors, the all those in the sphere of influence will come together for 1 day where we are merging, where ministry and marketplace is coming together. This is where we are taking dominion, we are faith led, we are systems built, and we are wealth driven. So we have speakers in faith led, systems built, and wealth driven. I am not going to hold this speaker. I am going to get out of the way. Again, you can go to ChristyMcKinney-Evans.com so that you can register or just get more information about Merge. Again, it's an emergency. It's happening on 9/11, and that is what God gave me. He says it's an emergency. We have to merge the two together, and you're going to find more about that on tonight. So on 9/11, September the 11th, from 9 to 5 here in the city of Memphis, we are merging marketplace and ministry together. So now, without further ado, let me go ahead and welcome the Dr. Felix Anderson.
Great evening to you. Great evening to you. Thank you for having me on tonight. Glad to be here. Really glad to be here.
I am grateful. I am honored, and thank you. I'm getting feedback.
Let me see what adjustments I need to make on my end, and give me just give me a moment to make a
Okay,
modification. I'm not sure why there's feedback, but we'll see if I can make a slight
I hear
modification. What
me.
about now? Okay. Do you?
No, no, we're good now.
Okay.
No,
Great.
I hear
Great.
it.
You hear it again? Give me one moment. Let me make one
Testing,
slight modification. What about now? Do you still hear the feedback?
testing, testing,
Okay. Uh, you still hear the feedback?
testing, testing,
What about now?
testing, testing. Okay, we're good.
Okay. We're good.
We're gonna go
We're good.
because I know
Okay.
this
We're
is about
good.
to be good. All right.
Thank you for having me on tonight.
You are so welcome. And so, for many of you all, you may not know, but Dr. Felix Anderson was the very first person, coach at the time. Yeah, it's still giving feedback, Dr. Felix.
Okay. Let me see what modifications I need to make on my end. Um, I'm not sure
I'll keep
why,
talking
but
while you.
okay. Um, I'm not sure what system settings I need to adjust, but I'll see if I can. I don't know if it will help if I come out and come back in, if that will help.
Okay,
Um,
I'll keep talking.
okay.
Yeah, 'cause I still hear you.
I'll go out and come back in.
Okay. All right. So while Dr. Felix is doing that, I just want you all to know the very first time that I actually met Dr. Felix was at a conference, and I want to say either South Carolina or North Carolina, one of those Carolinas. And I was in awe of how much confirmation that was given to me in reference to the marketplace. But then there was a moment, a time where I had a 15-minute VIP session with him. He was offering 15 minutes at the very end of his session at a conference. And he says, I want to offer this. Who would like 15 minutes? So it's myself and a very dear friend of mine, and let's see if you could.
All right. Hopefully this works. Hopefully that's much better. Um, I'm not sure
Let
what
me see.
modification.
Testing.
Testing
Yes,
one, two. I'm not. Yeah, that's much better.
yes. And so I was
Okay,
telling them
great,
about
great.
my 15-minute session I had with you,
Yeah.
and it took 10 minutes for you to tell me, I know you love your women's ministry, but you are marketplace.
Yeah.
And when you said that to me, and you said, I know that hurt your feelings, but you'll be okay.
Yeah.
That was in the fall. By that January is when I was hired for Dr. Bill Winston
Wow.
and started working in the marketplace. That gave me language for what was buried on the inside of me
Yes.
to wake your successful self up. So
Yes.
I am going to move out of the way. I want you to introduce yourself to everyone and just have at it. I have a few
All right.
questions. Move out the way
All
and
right.
let you
Well,
go.
Well, thank you so much for having me on tonight. I want to say welcome to each of you that's joining us, no matter where you're joining us from. Your space and your region in the world. I'm Dr. Felix Anderson. I'm the founder of Wake Your Successful Self Up Global, where we focus on business leadership, personal leadership, and spiritual leadership. I'm also the senior leader of Believe Big Again, where I have the responsibility of leading leaders that are respective creative voices and respective influences in their spheres of the marketplace. I'm excited to be here tonight. I do know that I have an assignment and a mandate to speak to you concerning wealth, but I want to pause and speak to those of you who are listening to me that are struggling with whether or not you should or you shouldn't get back into doing what God has originally assigned you to do. We have this saying in our community that we are not either or, we are both and. I believe that God has wired us to infiltrate the marketplace. I believe that God has wired us to be able to operate in our various callings and our graces. What I teach and what I believe is that each and every last one of us have a grace, and each and every last one of us have a gift. I believe that your grace, and what I teach is that your grace is what's on you that can be seen, but your gift is what's on the inside of you, which is designed to be experienced. And I believe that God is calling many of us back to the space in which He called David, in which He called Daniel, the space in which He called Joseph, the space in which He called the disciples, the space in which He called Peter. I believe He's calling us into a space where we don't have the option to choose what it is that we're called to do. We have the mandate to do what He has commanded us to do. And so, for those of you all who are listening to me and you're struggling whether you should or whether you should not go back into the marketplace, I want to speak this to you. I want to speak this to the core of your very existence. I believe that we are wired to fund kingdom. If you're listening to me, no matter what platform that you're joining me on, I'm a call and response type of teacher. While I cannot see your responses, in the natural, I can see them in the spirit. And so, for those of you all who are watching me, if you're under the sound of my voice, I need you to put this into the chat. I want you to write this down. I'm not either or, I'm both and. I'm not either or. I'm both. And I'm reminded of what the Lord shared with me a couple of days ago. He said, Son, I am bringing my sons and daughters back to a space where they are almost like akin to David, in the sense where they will be prudent in business. They will be men and women of valor. They will be men and women after my own heart. They will be those who have been designed and assigned to do war. These are they which I've called to get into different spaces so that they can infiltrate. But we cannot infiltrate places without us being inconvenienced. I believe that in order for us to infiltrate the marketplace and do what God has called us to do, we have to not just be masters of what we are skilled to do, but we have to make sure that we master the language of the land. By show of those who are here, I want to go ahead and say this. How many of you all believe in streams of income? And Christy, if you can help me out, how many of you all believe in streams of income? I cannot see your comments at the present moment. Let me see if I can. Okay, I can see your comments right now. How many of you all believe in streams of income? I just need you to type in a 77 into the chat. 77. What I teach in our communities, God speaks to me through numbers, and what I teach in our community is that 77 represents supernatural provision and supernatural protection. What if I told you that God has already supplied and God has already taken care of what it is that you need taken care of, but He's waiting on you to make the move? I believe that faith moves produce faith results. And in order for us to get what God has purposed for us to have, I believe that we have to move toward what it is that He wants and desires for us to have and what He desires for us to do so that we can bring glory to Him. I believe that many of you all are called back to the marketplace, and some of you all may be called to full-time ministry, but your marketplace assignment could very well be the full-time ministry. I believe that God does not need each and every last one of us behind the pulpit. I believe that there are those of you who are assigned to sit in the boardrooms. I believe that there are those of you who are assigned to handle resources. I believe that there are many of you that are assigned to counsel people, to teach people, and they need to see the grace of God that's on your life so that they can experience the gift of God that you are. So for those of you all who believe in streams of income, I want to say this to you. God wants to bring you to a space where He is introducing you to a greater realm and a greater language. And that language is rivers. I believe that God is calling us to a place of automation. I believe that God is calling us to a place of wealth. But the place of wealth will not come if we don't have the right structure and if we don't have the right systems. I believe that God is calling us to a place of worship. Some of you all may be listening to me right now, and you're saying, I don't know what I'm assigned to do. I want to charge you to not try to separate the spirit from that which you've been called to do in business, because both are necessary. For those of you who are listening to me, I just want you to write this down. I am born and I have the power to create wealth so that kingdom can be established. I believe that the word says, and you know the word for yourself, He says, I've given you the power to get wealth so that my covenant may be established. I believe this with all of my heart, that the reason why God is calling us back to this space to generate these resources is so that the kingdom of God can advance. If you know the story of Peter and the rest of the disciples, Jesus has conversation and He has community with those who are already doing business. And these same said disciples put their business on automation for 3 years. If you look at the text, you'll know that Peter was a fisherman, and there were those who were around him that were fishermen as well. And I believe that God does not, my God, I feel glory on tonight. God does not make you something that He has not already wired you to become. If you notice His language with the disciples, He says, follow me and I'm going to make you fishermen of men. He didn't change what they were doing. He just changed what they were fishing for. And there's some of you that are listening to me right now. You're wired in such a way that God has given you this eye to begin to see things from an analytical perspective. And so He will put you in a space and put you in an area so that your grace can be expounded, so that wealth can come to you by you doing what He has gifted and called you to do. And so I want you to put this into the chat, and I'm going to turn this back over to to our host, but I want you to put this into the chat. Worship breeds wisdom, wisdom breeds wealth. And sometimes we try to make generating resources and make generating wealth a hard thing when it's really not a hard thing, because business is spiritual. Business is spiritual. I need y'all to put that into the chat. Business is spiritual. How do I know this? Because whenever God gives you a concept and whenever God births something on the inside of you or impregnates you, it is your responsibility to give birth to it. Now, there are a lot of different business languages, business vernacular, and there's a lot of different terminologies that we can use across the board depending on your sphere of influence. But what I believe wholeheartedly in this season is that God is calling each and every last one of us to master a lane and master a language. I want you to put that into the chat. God has called me to master a lane, and God has called me to master a language. And some of you, God is going to put you into a space where you're going to have to be a man or woman of authority, and then get into a season where you have to become a man or woman under authority, because there's some things that he wants you to learn. There's some things that he wants you to glean. There are different cultures, there are different relationships that he wants you to establish, because the revenue is not going to come if the relationships are not established. The revenue is not going to come if the relationships and or the rivers are not structured. And so for those of you all who are joining me tonight, I simply want you to put this into the chat before I turn it over to our host. Worship breeds wisdom, wisdom breeds wealth. Worship breeds wisdom, wisdom breeds wealth. And before we turn it over to our host, I want to ask you this one question. How well are you stewarding what God has given you to handle? How well are you stewarding what God has given you to handle? And I know we're going to be talking more in depth as it pertains to business and the merging of the spirit and the marketplace, but I believe that they're one and the same. And so the merge happens the moment you come into agreement with what God has said about you concerning the assignment. I say this all the time. You get to choose your agenda. You don't get to choose your assignment. You get to choose your agenda. You don't get to choose your assignment. And I believe that God has purposed each and every last one of you who are wired and who have been designed to generate wealth so that the covenant, so that the kingdom can advance, God's covenant can be established, because he needs the resources, he needs the relationship, and he needs us to infiltrate so that we can dominate. I'm glad to be here on tonight, and I want to turn this back over to our gracious host so that I can answer any questions that you may have or she may have for the time frame that we have.
I'm speechless. I am, of course, I would have to go back and watch the replay, because I was trying to take notes and type this stuff. I'm honestly,
To
because
God be the glory.
there was so much said with the wisdom, the wealth, the relationships, the revenue, and understanding that we are already, once we've made the decision to come, that it's already one.
It is already
But
one.
there's people, because I remember when I didn't understand. I did not understand that marketplace and ministry was one.
It is one.
And here
It
we
is
are 10
one.
years later. Right. So here we are 10 years later, and to come in conversations with people of the church that
You know,
don't quite understand.
Yeah, many don't understand it. It's because they have been giving pregnancy to ideas, and they have not been given. They've been pregnant with ideas, but they have not been given birth to God breathed revelations. Um, I did not come up with wake your successful self up. I did not come up with believe big again. I'm not smart enough to come up with it. I am wise enough to steward what God has given me. And even though I have not been given this or I don't own it, God gave it and I have to steward it, but it's my assignment to protect it in the natural. And so when there are many people who have ideas that they're trying to give birth to that God never gave them. But when God impregnates you with revelation, you have no other choice but to walk that thing out. And whenever God gives you something, I say this all the time. People say, well, God will birth something out of you. No, that's not God's job. God's job is to impregnate us. It's our job to give birth to it. And sometimes we get frustrated because there are seasons where God will call us to move with strategy, and there are other seasons where He will give us the call to move with wisdom. You heard me say earlier that worship breeds wisdom, wisdom breeds wealth. That principle comes out of 1 Kings chapter 3. You will notice that David was king, but David did not have what his son Solomon had. David had riches by way of him just being king, but David did not have wealth. Psalms 112 says, wealth and riches shall be in our house. And many of us are striving for riches and we don't have wealth. And the reason we don't have wealth is because we don't have wisdom. And the reason why we don't have wisdom is because our worship life is off. And if your worship life is off, God can't trust us with the mysteries. God can't trust us with the ideas and the concept that's going to birth the millions because we cannot steward wisdom well. We cannot steward the time that we have been wired to worship well. If you notice, the Bible says Solomon went into a high place and he worshiped God. And then after he worshiped God, the Bible says that God appeared to Solomon in a dream. And he said, ask what I shall give thee. The wealth came when the world was sleeping. My God, I hear you. I hear Holy Ghost. The wealth came, the wisdom came while the world was sleeping. And then after the wisdom came, then the Father says, ask what I shall give you. And he began to start asking for something else, and God gave him wisdom. He says, I need to know the difference between how to judge these people, what's good versus what's wrong. Notice he didn't ask for wisdom, God gave it to him. And then after the wisdom came, the wealth came. This is a principle, and God is not going to go outside of his patterns, and God is not going to go outside of his principles to appease our natural and personal demands. And so I believe that God is calling us before we establish the business, we have to establish an altar. God, did you call me to build this? Where did you call me to build this? Who have you called me to build this for? And when we identify what we've been called to build, who we've been called to build it for, everything should lead back to Him. We've been called to build it for God. We've been called it so now the business becomes an altar that we can give back to God so that we can worship Him and so that it can be an easy thing. I believe that the reason why many of us desire to have the resources or the byproduct of what business is going to produce for us is because God wired our taste to be expensive. The reason why God made your taste so expensive is because we were never designed to be broke. And many of us are frustrated because we're not flowing in our purpose because we don't understand that the purpose begins with prayer. The purpose begins with presence. And so I'm going to leave with that. I know we're close to our time, but I feel my help coming on tonight, and so I'm grateful to be here on tonight. I'm grateful.
Now, I could listen and listen, because there's so much wisdom. When you speak, you unlock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's with such grace and such peace that you have to sit with this, taking the notes and obeying the instruction.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know I'm the host.
To God be the glory.
Yeah, the worship, the wealth,
Yeah. The
the
worship, the wealth.
wisdom, the
Jesus was not around broke people.
right.
Abraham was not broke. Moses was not broke. I want to say this. We have to be very careful of capitulating to a mindset that God does not want us to have. I believe that it is the Father's good will to bless us if we are doing what we have been wired to do in according to his will, according to our grace, according to the gifts that he has wired us to have. I believe that kingdom wealth is not measured by what sits in your bank account, it's measured by what flows through your hands. This is why he told the rich young ruler to sell that which you have, give to the poor, and follow me. He says, then you'll have true riches. And many of us are seeking strategies void of wisdom. And the wealth is only going to come when God gives us the wisdom. Because you can have strategies and no wisdom, but you cannot have wisdom and not have strategies. And strategies is a byproduct of wisdom. And that means that God will put you through phases. He will send you through steps so that you can get the resources that you need. But the resources are going to come through the avenue of relationships. And I believe that God is calling us in this season to establish relationships and establish them well. This is why many of us are missing it, is because we want the revenue, but we don't want to deal with people. And the purpose of us having wealth, the purpose of us establishing business is to serve God and to give it back to God and to serve people with what he gave us. This is what I believe wholeheartedly. And so there is a principle that many miss when talking about the rich young ruler. He told him to sell that which he had. And I want to submit to those of you who are listening to me right now. I want you to get good. Write this down. I want you to hear me well. I want you to get good at selling and marketing the God in you. For those of you all who are struggling, I'm used to giving my gift away. No, that is bad stewardship. I believe this, and I say this all the time. My gift is free, my time ain't. And so there are things that God wants you to sell so that you can have resources to reinvest into the kingdom so that the kingdom can advance. And I'm reminded of the story of the Good Samaritan. Many people talk about the Good Samaritan and they talk about him helping the person that was on the side of the road. Last I checked, the Good Samaritan wasn't broke. And many of us, God is calling us from that space of church culture, as it were, into the arena of business. And you don't have the luxury of slowing down to help wounded people. I know that may have been what you did in times past, but if you are on the path and on your way to get wealth and on your way to handle business, you're going to have to be just like that Good Samaritan. There are certain wounded people that you're going to have to hand off so that people can take care of them. And when you finish handling your business, you then come back and check on them. But you, in this season, you cannot let wounded people stop you and hinder you from getting what God has commanded you to get in the arena of business. And I know it's going to hurt certain people's feelings, but some people need to invest in who you are. They need to pay full price for what it is that you have to offer because you are just that valuable. I'm gonna end right there because I feel my help coming on, and I want to be a gracious guest, and yeah, I want to be a gracious guest.
Well, do you all see why
Glory be to God.
this? You have to be in the room. You have to be in the room
Yeah.
because the wealth of wisdom that flows. I mean, everyone that comes, that drives in their own life of what they will deliver to the people. I want you, Dr. to invite the people, and then we're going to close. This was, I don't want you to get them else though, because you are, it's flowing, the rivers, the streams, it's flowing. So I would like you to invite people, for those who will come back and watch this replay. And of course, you know, I'm going to post.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you. I want. I want you to. I want for those of you all who are here. I want you to. I feel led to share this wisdom with you. I'm hearing three words: money, influence, and resources. Money, influence, and resources. There are only four things that we do with money. We make money. We manage money. So cool. We multiply money, and we move money. That means that we exchange money. And some of you all have been wired to do all four. Some of you have been wired to do one of the four. Some of you all have been wired to manage. Some of you all have been wired to make. Hear me. I want you to write this down. Money follows value. Write this down. Money follows value. And the moment you understand your value is the moment that the money is going to follow you, but then God is going to give you concepts and ideas in the form of a business so that money can chase you down. I don't chase money, money chase me, but I do leave it a memo to tell it where I'm going to be. Second word I want you to write down is influence. I want you to write this down. Money follows value. Second thing I want you to write down, influence follows wisdom. I want you to write this down. Influence follows wisdom. The reason why God is going to give many of you all businesses in the days to come and give you greater influence in the business that you already have is because you are submitting to his wisdom. And for those of you all who are taking notes, I want you to write this third thing down. The resources follow trust. And I want to ask you this one question. Can God trust you with what he gave you? Can God trust you with the merge? Can God trust you to make money, to manage money? Can God trust you to empower people with your business? Can God trust you with the resources that he has given you? Can God trust you to grow what it is that he has called you to manage so that you can help other people go? Can God trust you so that you can be able to help expand the kingdom? Can God trust you to merge? And so for those of you all who are listening to me on tonight, I want to see you in person, September the 11th. September the 11th, I want to see you in Memphis, Tennessee. Our gracious host, I want you to go to McKinney-Evans.com. Make sure that you register because there's so much wisdom that I share in private to those who, the senior leaders that I give wisdom to. My assignment is to come and pour and leave empty. And I want to give you everything that I have. I believe there's certain things that God is going to give you, but he is not going to give you. Certain things and some things you're going to have to come and get. Atmosphere is everything, environment is everything, and location is everything. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Memphis, Tennessee, September the 9th, 2020, September the 11th, 2026. Thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait to see you all in a couple of months. Next month.
Thank you so much, Dr. Felix.
You're welcome.
Your pour, your wisdom, and this goes on and on. There's nothing else.
To God be the glory.
I honor you.
To God be the glory.
Your wife. Thank you so much.
To God be the glory.
and we'll talk soon.
All right. Blessings to you.
Bye-bye. All right, you all. Do you all see that the wisdom from Dr. Felix Anderson himself, who is the creator, the owner, well, he said, well, God trusted him, would wake your successful self up, believe big again. And there's a whole list of assignments that the Lord has graced him with. If you're watching this, you can definitely tell that there is so much more in a room. As I shared at the beginning, my 101 with him was supposed to be 15 minutes, but within 10 minutes, changed my entire world. You have to know that what God has called you to, it is not for you to sit on the sidelines and not birth and push that thing through. He just stated, God impregnates us, but it's up to us to deliver. How long will you sit and hold what God has given? This is Coach Christy McKinney-Evans. Go to ChristyMcKinney-Evans.com. Y'all know what to do. It's faith-led, systems built, and wealth-driven. You know God called you to it, but what are you going to do now? Meet us on September the 11th. It is a 911. Have an amazing day, evening, and for those who are watching on replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Be blessed. Bye.